Hello. In this lecture, we are going to jump to the next step where you have one random variable, but instead of one-to-one functions, you have many-to-one functions. Okay, so this is the next sort of interesting case. Once again, we'll begin with an example. Okay, so I'm going to start with the uniform distribution, x taking uniform distribution values from 0 to 10, same as before, same as in the previous lecture. So values from 0 to 10 are taken with probability 1 by 11. Okay, so that's the PMF. Now, the function I am looking at is x minus 5 whole square. Okay, and notice what happens immediately. For 0 you get 25, 1 you get 16, 2 you get 9, 3 you get 4, 4 you get 1, 5 goes to 0, and then 6 goes back to 1. So, you see here it starts repeating. Okay, these two are equal. Likewise, these two and so on. So, you have repetitions. Previous case, you saw one-to-one, there was no repetitions. So, you have repetitions. It's clear that this is a many-to-one function. Okay. So, x minus 5 whole squared. So, for instance, if you have to plot, x minus 5 whole squared versus x, you're going to have 5, it's going to go to 0, and it will be like this, right? It will be one cup like this going up. Okay, maybe my plot is not the greatest, but you see here there are horizontal lines that intersect twice. So, this is clearly a many-to-one function. Both these values give you the same value of x. So, for instance, here x equals 7 and x equals 3 give you the same value for the value of y, which is 4. Okay, so either side, whether you square 2 or you square minus 2, you get the same answer, right? So, 3 minus 5 whole square is 4, 7 minus 5 whole square is also 4. Okay, so you see this many-to-one nature comes because of this. So, this is a many-to-one function and you have repetitions in your table. So, what do you do when you have repetitions in the table? It's actually very, very simple. You simply add the probabilities. Okay, so 0 just goes to 0. There's nothing much to add here. 1 goes here and here. Okay, so that's 2 by 11, right? So, 1 had 1 by 11 here, and then 1 by 11 from here, these two added and you got a 2 by 11. Okay, so whenever you have repetition, you simply add the probabilities. Okay, so this is the step that you do here when you have many-to-one functions, which we didn't have to do before. Previously, we had no repetitions on the y, so we could simply copy out the PMF as exactly what it was. Here we have repetitions, and we notice that y takes values which are 0, 1, 4, 9, 16 and 25, and you have to compute the probabilities of these things. So, you have to rewrite this table with only the unique values, and what do you do when there are repetitions? You simply add the probabilities corresponding to each value. Okay, so 1 appeared twice, simply add the probabilities. 25 appeared twice, simply add these two probabilities, you get 2 by 11. Okay, so the probability ends up like that. So, it's a very simple calculation once again. When you have one random variable and many-to-one function, the table method works for small cases, even for large cases you can sort of make it work. So, you write down the table in the entire PMF, write down what the value of y is. If there are repetitions, you do this one more step, you write the unique values of y, and how many ever repetitions are there, you add up the probability, you get the PMF after the function, even if it is many-to-one. Okay, so x minus 5 whole square is not one-to-one. So, this makes it a little bit more interesting to compute the PMF. Okay, so here's a picture just to illustrate what is going on here. X is uniform from 0 to 10, it was just flat 1 by 11. Notice what happened when I did x minus 5 whole square. Okay, so a lot of things changed, right? So, it became, first of all, it has different probabilities now. Okay, notice how these many-to-one functions change your PMF, the value of the PMFs have changed. You have 1 by 11, so previously you only had 1 by 11. Now, you have 1 by 11 and you also have 2 by 11. Okay, and also the values have stretched out a little bit, right? So, if you want to do 25, you have to see that it comes from 10 and from x minus 5 whole square, right? So and from 0, right? So, this is where these two come from. So, you got 2 by 11 and the value of 0 comes from 5 alone, right? Okay. So, this is the sort of thing that would happen. So, multiple values would add up to give you larger probabilities, and the values itself can spread out also. X minus 5 whole square is like bigger, right? So, 25 and all shows up. So, you get 1, 4, 9, sort of unevenly spaced also. So you can see how the distribution has changed from a very smooth, uniform, evenly spaced distribution to a very different looking distribution. Okay, even number of values also change. Okay, so all these things can happen with many to one functions. Hopefully the method sort of clear to you. The visualization with stem plots also is sort of nice to see. Okay, so this is the binomial case. Again, I've repeated the same thing. I've not written down the table for you. You can go ahead and write it. I've just shown you the plot just to see how things work out. Once again, you can see, you can just add it all up. So maybe the slightly interesting case is, 4 and 6 will add together to give you this, right? So this plus this, a sort of 0.2, it's gone to 0.4. Okay, so these two add to give you this. These two, 3 and 7 add to give you this. It's not 2 power x, I apologize for that, it's x minus 5 whole square. Okay, so that's the function for this, and you can see even for any other distribution it will work like this, but you start seeing very many different shapes for the function, right? It's not as the same as before, because all these additions are happening, things are moving around, so you get very different looking distributions. Okay, so this is something that will happen to you even in practice. You'll see one data point, see another data point. If you plot the histograms or something, they look very different, but there may be a relationship between them, and it may be something like this. Some function might take you from one to the other, right? It can happen. So you have to be sort of, so if you have some experience in looking at different types of functions and evaluating their distributions, hopefully when you see real data, you may be able to guess how the relationship may be, hopefully. All right. So I hope this had no bug. Yeah, there's no bug here. So that's also something to watch out for. Okay. So I think let me summarize many to one functions for you. So in your math 1 class, you might have seen how to identify many to one functions from the graph. Any graph that goes up comes down, or comes down goes up, will be many to one, because there is a horizontal line, it will intersect twice. Anything that's not monotonic is one to one. So there are very many examples I've put down here, so many other examples. So even if f is many to one, the table method will generally work. You just have to identify all the values of x which take you to a common y, and probability of y equals y naught is simply taken as the sum of all these probabilities. It's again, in terms of events, it's very, very easy, right? In terms of events, the event y equals y naught is exactly equal to x belonging to x1 to xn. Okay, so that's where this summation comes from. At the end of the day, it goes back to a basic probability space involving these random variables, and you can do these computations. So hopefully this was good. The many to one function case for one random variables, and even the one to one function case for one random variable is generally easy to do. You can also visualize it with these stem plots, which I will encourage you to try out, and then that gives you a very complete picture of what's going on. Thank you.